Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to the Apothecary Diaries reaction series, of course. This is the finale. This is the last episode, well, for the foreseeable future, that I'll do on the Apothecary Diaries. And we're very, well, happy's the wrong word. It's bittersweet. I want to keep watching the show, but I'm happy I get to see the conclusion. Yeah, it's going to be cool. That's what we're going to be doing here today. So yeah, last two episodes, I have some vague ideas about where we're going generally. It seems like we're going to solve Lakan, at least a little bit, right? It seems like we've got him cooked. Whatever's happening with Mao Mao, and I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of explanations and stuff in these two episodes, it seems like she's got one over on him and she's finally actually going to face this guy. Which again, matching the whole flower blooming motif that's been through the past couple episodes anyway. She's starting to come out of her shell a little bit and actually take matters into her own hands, which is only a good thing. I think this is a satisfying ending to a piece of television. Either way, I should come right out and say this. I'm going to be away next week, and again, that applies to all of my series when I record the next video for them. I'm going to be away. So there will be no video next week. No matter what it is, it'll probably be like a poll video up around this time next week, so the poll has about a week to run. Something like that, right? That's the general goal here at the moment. Again, I'm just going on holiday. It's nothing crazy. But yeah, just the heads up there, especially for the Patreon people that are paying me. So again, if you have no content for 1 week and you don't feel like paying, entirely your prerogative. That's how this thing works. I never did make that update video as well, but essentially I became important at work as well, so recording in general is going to become harder. I think I'm going to do a 1 day a week where I'm going to record bulk all of my stuff for that week. I think that's going to be the general plan going forward. And again, we'll see that kind of eventuate on the other side of the holiday. Tomorrow I'm going to mass record Haibane Renmei and Monogatari all at once. So again, that's the general plan as it stands right now. Things could change. Again, enough update video. I need to get onto these YouTube comments because, again, I don't have a lot of time here today. What button do I press? It's one of these. That one. There we go. Hello, YouTube comments. YouTube comments today were numerous, and they were quite smart as well. There's some pretty good points here. It's even educational at points, which we certainly do enjoy. First comment here from Kelvin, who's just basically shouting out that in the light novel manga, Pyron's age is confirmed a little bit more. Well into her 30s is what we say. The oldest of the three princesses, which means Lihaku's into older women, aka based. Based as fuck. So let's go. Let's go, Lihaku. You're cool. Next comment here from Andreas, which is basically just correcting me. I was under the assumption that Season 2 would be the end. Apparently that's not the case at all, and I was just absolutely speaking shit. I was speaking shit about something I didn't know, which, again, isn't exactly out of the norm. Currently, there are 15 books in the light novel, potential of 8 anime seasons, considering the first season here has covered books 1 and 2. So, again, I was just incorrect. Next comment here from Ichu, the naming thing in the show. Now, this was very interesting. This is where we get educational, right? So, essentially, this bounces off of my question from last week about Master Shisho, I believe his name was, right? Where Shisho is generally a translation for the name, or not the name, for the word master in Japanese. So I'm like, where does that fall on the spectrum? Chinese, Japanese? I don't know what's going on there. So the author kind of played fast and loose about how the names are pronounced. There are some obvious Chinese-sounding names that match the kanji for the main characters. For others, it's taken from Japanese kan-on, kanji readings. So the dude's name is that, which can be pronounced as Shisho if we go on the kanon system. And that happened to sound the same as master and teacher in Japanese. I don't think there's a double meaning to the name, but it wouldn't surprise me if the author also intended a pun. Again, we have Nisio Sin on the channel as well. He's all about this kind of shit. In Chinese, this would instead be pronounced Zi-chang, which is a little bit more, you know, normal. Less strange, I would say. There are quite a few names like that in the show, such as Lihaku and Lakan, which have these kind of 2-syllable dealies in them. Again, I'm talking about something I don't know, which is fun. No, but I just didn't even consider that there were different pronunciations between the kanji for the Chinese characters and the Japanese characters. That's just not even something that crossed my mind. So sure. Next comment here from Igor Karpov, just really saying that they would enjoy the anime, or are enjoying the anime a lot more on the rewatch. Again, it's good the first time through, I can attest to that, but I can definitely see going back through certain episodes and seeing certain reveals before they happen and what's being indicated there. It's, yeah, really cool. There's a lot of setup early that you don't notice that you come back to later on and are surprised by, which again makes a rewatch rewarding. Again, maybe I don't know if there's any other good reactions to the show. Maybe, again, this is a good opportunity to put them in the comments, considering this is like the last episode or whatever for at least a little bit. So again, if I wanted to rewatch the show, I would do it watching somebody else as well. So again, if there's good stuff out there, please shout out the channels. Please recommend that stuff, because I personally want to see it, as well as it'll be good for everybody else as well, I guess. On the first time through, the almost cookie cutter procedural nature of the show was kind of dragging it, but I'm much more engaged this time through. Again, I find that the presence of somebody there along with me definitely helps. You can kind of feed off of their enjoyment and that kind of stuff, especially the first time through, and their surprise, instead of just merely focusing on the events on screen happening in the order that they're happening. Again, I like, that's why I make this content, because I like it, you know what I mean? But yeah, again, this show has only grown for me as I continue to think about it more and more. So generally a good sign, I would say. And last comments here, except for Ed. The next few comments are by Bamps. It's a pretty good joke. I'll shout this one out. The doctor and paper, they couldn't cut wood anymore, so they cut his wood. Get it? Because he's a eunuch. Oh my god, that shit's crazy. This is more to the point. Maybe it's like set up. It probably is set up for something a little bit later, considering the Empress Dowager is being set up as a pretty important character that has a lot of, what's the word? Power? A lot of draw to a lot of people, I would say. So again, another female character in the show would be interesting to talk with Mao Mao and so forth. You get what I'm saying there. Yeah, I've got no idea if Mao Mao is even suspecting if Jinshi is not a eunuch. I think maybe there was something to that effect, but again, much like Mao Mao does, she's dropping the idea. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. I don't know if her opinion of Jinshi would change and she would put a lot of things together if it was ever confirmed that he wasn't a eunuch. Again, only time will tell on that one, I think. And yeah, the whole Lakan recruiting Lihaku thing, I believe Ed talks about it in his comment up here, so we'll extrapolate upon that there. Bamps has a read here that the Blue Rose in particular wasn't a shot at Mao Mao, it wasn't a subtweet as I described it last week. It's a little bit more just an impossible task that he's giving to Jinshi that would eventually fall to Mao Mao, and then a test. It's another test, basically. Again, it's only after she learns that it's Lakan who's the guy, right, that's giving the task is when she wants to take it, because it's personal on that level, rather than just the Blue Rose thing. And I just agree with this one. Zhao Lun needs to be put on Jinshi's payroll as Mao Mao's servant. Again, just get her in the show more. That being said, I do like her sporadic appearances too. Last comment here from Ed. Did Lakan promote Lihaku so Mao Mao could find the pipe? Yo, this shit's crazy. So he found the pipe, didn't say anything. He probably figured out what happened here, at least a little bit, right? And then put Lihaku on the investigation in the hopes that he would bring it towards Mao Mao. Again, it fits with the line, working in the military is easy, I just need to know where to place the pieces. Maybe. Again, we're going to see what Lakan's deal is a little bit these episodes today, so looking forward to it. Also, yeah, in episode 15, Lakan says about Mao Mao's mum, she was very good at Go and Shogi. I could beat her in Shogi, but never in Go. Considering how he sees the pieces upon the end of episode 22, I believe it was, we now see what he's getting at. So, again, Shogi, easy, because Shogi's like military pieces, right? It's like, you know, strategy, that kind of shit. Specifically, the pieces in Go and the binary nature there talks to gender. I could never figure out the difference in gender, and figure out women almost as well. There's something in that for sure. And again, we're going to dive into that a little bit more. I could never beat her like that. And Mao Mao's connection there. Yeah, we're going to see. I'm excited. I really liked this one too. And again, copied from Wikipedia, blue roses in nature, they're mysterious, right? Specifically here, something close to unachievable. We're giving Mao Mao a task that is unachievable, and she's able to achieve it through her own kind of persistence plus ingenuity, which is a good feeling, I think. Again, all your wishes granted with a blue rose. The other thing I was thinking about the blue rose, which is why I kind of thought it had significance, was during the opening. There's like the opening of the blue rose in the box there. That's kind of, yeah. So if we're taking that as all wishes granted, and that's a Mao Mao's mum Lakan situation, then that gets a little bit interesting. I'm giving you this thing which is granting all of your wishes before taking it away through whatever means Lakan did. So yeah, kind of like a fake Blue Rose in that regard. Anyway, I'm going to move out of the YouTube comments now, and I'm going to do a Patreon shout out. But yeah, those were very good comments this week. Thank you for continuing to do them. So I have a Patreon. Again, it's a little bit of a moot point now on the finale, but again, if you wanted to see Haibane Renmei and Monogatari a week early, as well as potentially get exclusive voting rights in the poll coming up for replacing Apothecary Diaries, then Patreon's the place to be. $6 a month and all that. Many people have done this, up to and including Mickey Babbers, Trows++, Backslash, Bobbin, Chobo Ribby, Domobot, Ichu, Ed, Fancy Question Mark, Fleur Nightingale, Fried Rice, Fruit, Gloriana Tenebrae, Glyke, Greybeard, Gus N, Heath, Ika, Yanko Yavanen, Joran, Kelvin, Kimskell, Clem, Nosta, Cot Begemot, Lou, Mistake El Chen, Nailu, Parnik, Pencil Sharp 333, Ronlad BNK, Saint Lily, Sal, Sam1373, Skeleton, Voeko, Without a Net, Zan Echo, Yuki Ali, Zach, Binshi, Hans Peter, Marsh, Voodoo Chili, Aidan O'Brien, and Funny Fat Guy. Thank you to all those people for giving me money. Now again, Lakan is the focus. Again, I don't really want to talk about much else here, I don't think. Jinshi's had a little bit of stuff recently, but I think we're going full on. This is the finale time. Let's deal with this absolute cockhead. Yeah, that's a name for Lakan, I think. He sucks, so it's good that we're going to see him taken down. Maybe, I hope. Again, that's the general hope here today. And moving onwards to episode 23. Patreon, Discord, like the video, subscribe. Let's do this thing. Rightio, I have episode 23 up there ready to go of the Apothecary Diaries, Kusaria no Hitorigoto, if you wanted to be that way inclined. 22 minutes and 50 seconds on this one. Sync up accordingly with your own copy. Picture in picture in the description below. Subs, please. Let's do this thing. Rightio, 3, 2, 1, go. We're here. It's the last session, and it comes with much sadness. Again, I'm keen for this whole thing to get sorted out, I guess. Just what even happened in the past, and like, again, confronting that. Sure. I wonder if we'll get any other major teasers for other plot stuff. I wonder what the structure is going to be across these two episodes. It seems like we're going to play a bunch of board games with Lakan from the preview last week. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I'm definitely not watching the preview for episode 24. So, again, when that thing pops up, I'm just going to pause it and we'll move right into the next one. So at least for the last episode, I can go in as blind as possible. But yeah, I mean, regardless of what these two episodes are, I think the show's just really, really, really good. As I said before, I want to rewatch it already. And I guess it's confidence in my own taste, because I was rooting for this show hard to win its poll and for me to watch it on the channel, because I knew I would really like it. And guess what? I was right. It's really, really good. So yeah. I don't know what we're doing next, by the way. We'll say, I guess. Okay, where are we? I didn't expect to see that. Oh. I remember she was singing in a previous episode as well, or at least humming. Had to do it to them. You're strange. This guy's fucked in the head. Yeah, okay. Best of 5. No handicaps. No. Stakes. Stay out of this. Stay out of this. Yeah, I'm getting paid by Jinshi. I'm on the payroll. Okay, yeah, I see. uh, yeah, what a weird thing to say. Interesting. Aging courtesan. Ooh, and the nail polish. Okay. Booze. We're doing shots as well. I agree. Poison. How much more stakes can we add? We're gonna die? Okay. Second rule. This is insane. There's a lot of ego in this for Lakan. Masterful gambit, Mau Mau. I mean, I don't know how this game works, so they're going to need to assist in that or just tell me who wins, or I don't really know. Okay. Seems like Lakan won the first round. Okay, seems like Mau Mau wins the... Oh no, okay, alright, we'll never know. Mau Mau's 2 down. This thing's going to game 4. She's done. She's still smiling though. Scary. Also, Mau Mau doesn't give a fuck about poison. She loves that shit. She could also die. Right in front of me. I've got the utmost confidence that we've got this guy exactly where we want him to be. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I see what's happening. Okay. Yeah, and the poisoning thing. A lot of sipping on glasses this arc. It's not what you think. Maybe? I remember it was 5 minutes ago, I remember. Um What? Is he a lightweight? What's going on? One beer Billy. How hard was the liquor? Oh, so he is a lightweight. That's funny. He's drinking his fucking apple black currant juice. Oh. Dude, we rocked his shit. Alright, what is this? Who's this little freak? Are you an idiot? Don't really care, but sure. Sure. Okay, I mean, sure. Chariot must be a good piece. That's good. I see. Feng Shen. Get shit on. Oh. What a sad, sad man. Anyway. Okay, and then yeah. He always wins in chess. Generational trauma. That shit's crazy. Mm-hmm. Now what? Metaphors? She had her fans, for sure. Not the half-brothers. It reminds me of Lihaku, a little bit. Yeah. Mei too. Very young. The stakes here are very interesting. It's all about what either party wants. There we go. Yeah. I believe that we're both the same thing. In her sleep, she's crazy. Yeah, I'd be out of my mind too. Oh. The one man I respected. Oh, okay, bye. Just in case. In case of what? Hmm. 6 months, eh? Uh, yeah. What the fuck? Sukuna's finger? Oh, it literally was. Yeah, you're an idiot. Well, again, I have plot knowledge, so, you know. I mean, you deserve it, kind of. Yeah. Soiling the name of her brothel is kind of crazy. Yeah. Okay, now I've put it all together. Gotcha. Okay, well, why are you such a creep in the current day? Why not act normal? Thoughts? Anyway. Yeah, it is. I was going to say that. True. Some noble's servant. Yeah. I put that together too, because I'm smart. Well, you still do. What does abashed mean? Bashful? Anyway. Now that one's poison. Kill him. Bitter. Oh, and that's where the blue rose comes from. Ooh, I thought that was back in the day. It's a metaphor, Lakan. Can you understand that one? Oh, it's based in. I'm trying to do Basen and based. Based in. See what I'm saying? I like that guy. Yeah, what were you looking at? Some flower petals or something? Yeah, I'm a little bit on the show's attempt to display Lakan as a little bit more sympathetic. Again, it being like kind of family circumstances that led him to becoming a deadbeat. We can knock a couple things out. I thought it was implied that Lakan and what was her name? I'm forgetting it already. Fong something. Mama's mother. I thought it was implied that that was non-consensual. So again, I thought Lakan bad. Turns out it was consensual. And what he should have done was fight harder to stay in contact and figure out, I guess, the meaning behind her, like her buyout falling through. Like that was the mistake. But then why does Lakan act like a fucking weirdo all the time? Is he just being protective of his daughter? Because the only time we really see Lakan acting like a fucking weirdo is when Jinshi's around. So he's just being like protective and stuff, like a dad. You know, like classic dad with the shotgun type shit. Anyway, I was fairly comfortable with Lakan being bad. He's still bad. He's still not like a good guy. He's still antagonistic. And again, Mama doesn't really care about the context behind why he did the things he did. All that matters is the impact, and it's impacted her really negatively, so... And I'm not watching preview, so stop it there. All I see is Jinshi being a fucking weirdo here. Look at that. Pretty crazy. Anyway, onwards and upwards to that last episode, I think. We'll see what occurs in the last episode, the finale, of course, and what conclusion we come to with Lakan anyway. Rightio, I have the final episode of the Apothecary Diaries up there ready to go. At least for now, the final episode, you know what I mean. 22 minutes and 55 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly with your own copy. Subs please version, picture-in-picture, all that shit. Either way, let's jump right in to this last episode with a 3, 2, 1. Radio, 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say in the ED there that I forgot to talk about is I now know where the syphilis comes into it, right? So, essentially, she's in the brothel, right? She needs to make money. She was valuable because she wasn't, her purity and all that BS, you know what I mean? But then as soon as she had a child and all that kind of stuff, right? It's like, well, we still need to make money off you somehow. And then it's like, okay, you're left to whoever's left, the lower social class, blah, 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 syphilis. Fair enough? I think that makes sense. Cool. Now, again, putting together where Mau Mau falls into this and then where Luhrmann falls into this as well are the other two kind of missing pieces of the timeline, I would argue. But again, I've got a better grasp of what's actually even going on here. Again, Lakan musing about poisoning her, right? Again, now comes with a little bit more baggage, a little bit more context. Like, I poisoned her with child, and then poisoned her with neglect. I don't know. Yeah, again, we'll once we know all the information, we'll come to some kind of actual full-on conclusion. Feng Shen. I got to remember that. I don't know why that slipped my mind. You're weird. Okay, so it definitely is kind of like that with Jinshi. So you fucking hate Jinshi for that reason. Now, I've got a thought in my mind that this will maybe be Mei Mei. We will say. Because again, the plot wants you to think it's Feng Shen, I think. Oh. Gotta buy one out. I wonder which one he'll buy. Is it the one that's fucking center frame? Okay. Thank you, old lady. You've got, like, problems. What about another option? Please enter. Over to this musty hallway. I didn't hear nothing. Bro just legged it. He's gone crazy. Yo! Trampling the fucking flowers? It was a metaphor. Okay, what's this gonna be like? Moon. Ooh, perspective change too. Well, that's sweet and all, but does she... Yeah, also, do you not understand... Anyway, whatever. Yeah, the moon I'll talk about. I believe I mentioned it in a previous episode as well. Just on the bed? Okay, sure. I agree. We'll talk about it. Indeed. Jinji and Mao Mao? What do you mean? What? Oh, these two. Okay. He's a bit of a hothead, but we like that. Somebody get this hothead out of here. So are you. Anyway. Of course he does. Yeah, that Laolan stuff is interesting. Hell yeah, hella food. Thank you, scary mum. Anyway. Yeah, explain. Yeah. Bro bagged my mum. Moon. Whoa. Yeah, that was the other part of it. Which I had question marks about. Do you... How would you... Anyway, whatever. Maybe you heard it from Mum. Oh, or Luhrmann. Of course you would know, having been in the rear palace. I'd be weirded out. He's a creep. He's alright. Get shit on. What was he definitely interpreted it one way. Did he interpret it the correct way? He did. Yeah, rarely. Except for that one time where it really mattered. Or if you took action in the past, maybe you would have, like, a family? Your mum wouldn't have lost her mind? An uneasy alliance? Oh, the dad in the room can attest to that, probably. It was another finger. Oh. Finally, shawl. Sure. Oh. Oh, like the opening. Yeah, cool. Finally, a shawl. Yeah, I thought that, yeah. Is Mama going to be dancing? Yeah, I thought she might. Clothes is very important here. Look at her shed the green. You ready for this? Yeah, fuck, I'm smart. Let's go. Even the hair. Yo, the Yo! The show understands the metaphors at play. Let's go. Ooh, still a bit of damage under there, though. I didn't expect this to be in the show, even though it was in the opening. And I suddenly understand why those 2 episodes, well, one of them, looked kind of bad. That's why. Yeah, it looks fucking awesome. Oh, she was almost dabbing there for a minute. Yeah, this is gorgeous. How good's the animation? I'm wondering how they did it? Yeah, based. That was cool. What do you mean still remember? Did you learn something? Ah! She's about to fucking die? Oh. Bishonen. I'm just dancing. Yeah, why are you watching me? Again, I know what you're referring to. Another. Ah. Head pat. Kind God. Oh, it's just vibing. Okay, so yeah, right. So in that way, you're sending off, you know. 10 days? Hey, yo. He spent a lot of money. Oh my god, they're popping off. Extremely money motivated. Genji, you stupid. Anyway, he doesn't have the context. Yeah. Yeah, you learn things. Gotcha. I never noticed that about Mao. I thought it would have been like the tip of a finger or something. Oh. Oh, I'm hella bleeding. Can we get you to stop? Just like. Just stay still for like a month. And you'll be okay. On yourself? Ah! Don't do that. He's Batman? Oh. uh. In the, kind of the same way to the end of episode 20, was it? Episode 19? One of them. Yeah. Exactly. They're even referencing it. What? What? It's going to be something stupid. You're literally trolling him. They're baiting me. What is this? Oh, did you headbutt her? That's crazy. Talk shit, get hit. I don't know. Okay, you two. Oh, the stars. Sure. Oh, finally, post-credit scene. What? Oh, stupid Jinchi. Interrupting me. What? They're always very nice to me here, which is good. One last mission. It's season 2 of the show. Oh. Finally. Eyes narrowed. Thank you, Mau Mau's story. I literally don't know. That's very good. Oh, there you go. Even, sure. Fine. Yeah, I mean, that last little scene obviously did the same thing that announcement did. It's like, oh, there's one more mission, buddy. Come along, Mau Mau, my little servant girl. Anyway, weird. Definitely not the way in which the finale I thought it would go. Can I even speak? No. But it was very good. Again, the thing that impressed me the most is that the show actively understood all of the things that I had going on in my head metaphorically about it, right? That kind of last scene there with Mau Mau is just perfect in that regard. The stuff with the moon, which I've talked about previously as well. I guess the surprise for me was the Lakan, you could call it face turn, but it turns out that we had a limited perspective on Lakan based on how he was around Jinshi, if that makes any sense, right? And again, once you reframe a lot of his stuff, he's less villainous, I would say. Again, still a bit of a fuck up. Again, I still don't really like his whole, I guess, actions around people. I don't like how he considers other people. He's still not a good character. I don't hate him, I dislike him. I think that's what Mau Mau said, or something to that effect in the episode, and I think I probably mirror that a little bit. I'll bring those up for analysis now. We'll go back through those 2 episodes, and I'll talk about some stuff now that it's all kind of laid out there. So that was episodes 23 and 24 of the Apothecary Diaries. What else can I say? I thought they were really, really, really good. Again, I just said it, but I'll say it again. The show's understanding of what it's going for and executing on that is almost second to none. It's very, very good at demonstrating what it wants to do, if that makes any sense. It's very good at, again, executing on ideas and giving things meaning through repetition and all those kind of good filmmaking things. I just think it's a well-constructed story above anything else entirely, almost, I would say. Kept me guessing, kept me on the edge of my seat. Definitely a less dark interpretation, I would say. Still fairly dark, but again, with our interpretation of Lakan there being a little bit more sympathetic. There is some mirroring here, of course. Lakan's failure to figure something out and failure to come out and execute on something and honestly think about it and go off his hunches and that kind of thing ultimately led to him not being with the love of his life for 17 years, 18 years, something like that. So, like, both those characters, both Feng Sheng and Lakan, are just kind of sitting in stasis for that long, based on the inability of one of them to bloom, I would say. One of them to come out and say what they actually want and Yeah, again, execute. This obviously mirrors Mau Mau, obviously. It is only upon facing Lakan and facing everything that comes along with Lakan and every feeling that that brings for Mau Mau that everybody here is able to actually have their happy ending. Again, it took one of these three people between mum, dad, and daughter to actually come together and say, hey, this is what's going on, and explain away a lot of stuff. And again, that's really beautiful, and again, puts Mau Mau pretty squarely in the protagonist role, I would say. And again, the significance of the dance right there at the very end, the sending off of the courtesan, something in the kind of culture that she was brought up in that she can now do for her own mother, even if she's not referring to her as such and all this other stuff, right? She still wasn't honestly a great mother. She kind of lost her mind and all sorts of other stuff, right? But I can do her this one service, you know? Again, incredibly selfless, and there's an incredible amount of meaning in that dance. That blooming of that rose, of course, the letting down of the hair, the flower in the hair as well, bringing it all full circle, the makeup, the clothes, the everything. I'm finally expressing myself fully. And honestly, I don't really know where the show would go next. I mean, obviously, Sure's still at large. She's still a thing. She's still probably going to make an attempt on Jinchi's life, or something to that effect. So, sure. Laolan and Shisho are being built up, of course, as adversaries, I would argue. Gyokyo's going to have another kid. I'm not sure what else is even... Obviously, Jinchi's secret, I would say, getting out, that kind of stuff. But I don't know where else we would go. And again, very exciting in that regard. I'm excited to see more of the show and all that comes along with it. Now, again, I'm running a little bit low on time, so I want to get a wriggle on and actually analysing the episode properly and going back through and clarifying things and looking for examples and so forth. So let's do just that. Interesting decision to make the first frame of the episode literally Mei-Mei's giant assets. Again, it got me interested, I'll say that. So I think, again, let's reframe this whole song thing and the humming and all that kind of stuff, right? Cool. So Mau Mau doesn't like it. We learned that from the other scene. She doesn't like she calls her like a crazy old woman or something when she does it in the past, right? Let's think about what this is in theory. This is a song that she sings to herself, right? That's probably been passed down for a while through whatever semblance of family that she has, right? She specifically sings it after having sex with Lakan. So, again, I want to become pregnant, I love you, all that kind of stuff, right? Obviously signifying the baby, but this can also be reframed as a lullaby for Mau Mau, right? Let's think about what Mau Mau is for Fengsheng here, right? She's like literally the representation of the love of my life going away and not coming back. Right? And again, all of that along with the stress of essentially a single mother raising a child in a brothel. Again, I would go insane. I can definitely... I'm sympathetic to your perspective, I'm saying. Again, I don't know about cutting off the finger and all that kind of stuff. That was a little bit odd. It was a little bit extreme. But again, I understand the justification there. Now, the specific, the flower here, we should talk about that. It's in the title of the episode, which is Balsam and the Other Thing. This is the other thing and also represents Mau Mau. So in that way, Balsam, and let me get the title for it, hang on. Balsam and Wood Sorrel. Yeah, Wood Sorrel is Mau Mau, and Balsam is the mother, right? That's what this title is getting at. You see the little yellow flower, that's the one that represents Mau Mau there, right? We even see it here, again, in the background, there's the yellow flower, in the foreground, that's the balsam, right? And again, that is so dense with meaning, again, between all the flower metaphors in the show, the color stuff, the how it attaches itself to beautification, how it attaches itself to both the rear palace and Vertigra's house, right? All that kind of stuff, all in this one little metaphor. Very, very compact, very cool. So here's my question. Was Lakan under the impression that Fengsheng was dead? Was he? Is that why he never asked to actually buy her out, because he didn't know that she existed? Instead, he knew that Mau Mau existed, and again, that's one of the women I can actually recognize, therefore I want to purchase her. She's my biological daughter. I want to possess her, all that kind of stuff, right? And again, he's just a bit of a fucking weirdo freak, so I didn't trust the vibe, but the vibe was not entirely the truth, I guess. So again, I'm just trying to see what was preventing this from happening earlier. From Lakan realizing that Fengsheng was there and doing something about it. I guess he thought she was dead, I guess. I think this is a purposeful subversion. I like how we set up Mau Mau as like this elaborate game that we've set up here, this elaborate parlor game with you, when again, the entire idea is just to get you drunk enough to transport you to Vertigra's house, right? To actually make you face the thing that you want to face, right? Like, again, passing through all the artifice and all the games and stuff and getting to the realness. Again, I'd have to think it's purposeful in the plot. You think that this is going to be Mau Mau masterfully gambiting Lakan and defeating him, but in reality, how you defeat him is by getting to his vulnerability, is digging deeper into his actual emotions. Again, I've discussed this in the past as well. A lot of the ways we frame Lakan as a character is through the perspective of Jinshi in these conversations with Jinshi. Of course, Lakan's being a weirdo. You're like her boyfriend. It's that classic dad-daughter boyfriend dynamic, I would say. That's kind of what's being gotten at here, and that's why he's such a cunt in those scenes. Because it's Jinshi. That's the real reason there, I would say. Either way, the stakes as it stands right now, Mau Mau is offering herself to Lakan. Like, if Lakan wins this little game, I'm gonna go with him. And again, Lakan wasn't under the impression that she was under hire. She thought that Mau Mau was just kind of living with him. And again, upon learning this information, he gets a little bit cheeky about the whole affair, which I think's funny. Also, maybe mirroring some of Mau Mau's anthropomorphism stuff. Again, I can't say that word. How she turns into she gets the little ears going sometimes. It's kind of like that, but the dad version. The other side of the equation is that if Mau Mau wins, then Lakan needs to buy out a courtesan from Vertigra's house. Again, we know where this leads. So again, you being coy in the dialogue here must imply that Lakan thought that she was dead. Because it's like, hadn't he put together aging courtesan at all, right? How would he not put that together? Either way, we add on a couple of extra rules, of course. The first rule being these kind of 5 cups. We've set up 5 cups of hard liquor, and then in 3 of the cups, we put a medicine that in small amounts is fine, but if you drink enough of it, it'll kill you. And then, of course, we mix up the cup. After every match, the winner picks 1 cup, and the loser drinks from it in 1 breath. If, again, they pick poorly and drink the 3 cups that are poisoned, then they will die. Mau Mau here knows that she can't beat Lakan in this game, that he is like a pro. She's just going to fucking throw and lose. This isn't her game, right? Her game instead is betting her own life and betting Lakan's love of her, that he will throw 1 game and at least sip 1 cup. Because again, he can't risk Mau Mau dying to poison. He can't risk the only other woman in his life that he can actually see the face of dying. And you're betting that, right? And this is where the second rule comes in, that no matter the reason, if you lose the game, abandon the game, then you lose, right? If you walk up, if you're unable to play, that kind of thing, then you lose and you have to do the other condition. Obviously for Lakan, buy out the aging courtesan. And of course, Jinshi is in the perspective of the audience right now. We don't know what's going on yet. We don't know that this is actually pretty low stakes because you've already ensnared him by this point already, right? For some reason, you know he's an absolute lightweight, which is kind of funny. I don't know. Very quickly in this scene, we see Mau Mau losing 2 games in a row. Again, I don't need to talk about the nail polish. I've talked about it at length last week, but it's definitely a touch here and definitely reminiscent of another person. You're trying to get Lakan interested, I would say. And this is one of the ways. Again, this just shows how crazy Mau Mau is as well. She was never going to kill herself with the poison, obviously. That's fine. But she's still this must be pretty strong alcohol, and she's taken 2. It only takes 1 sip of 1, and then Lakan's like, oh, fuck. I'm hella drunk. You could also argue that this is an elaborate ruse to troll Jinshi as well, which is kind of my headcanon as well. Mau Mau specifically did this and made sure that Jinshi was a spectator so that he could be brought along for the ride, so to say. That's kind of funny. Again, she's just smiling the entire time. She knows what's going on here. So this is where the stakes shift. Lakan has thrown one of the games, essentially, right? A win is a win, even if you let me win correct. So Lakan was playing bad on purpose and letting her have a win. So essentially, if Mau Mau drinks a 3rd cup, there is a non-zero chance that she just kills herself. In fact, it's 1 in 3, something like that. That's bad. I know Mau Mau's kind of psycho. She would do something like that. Therefore, I need to throw a game until I can sip a cup to the point where I know it's poison. So I have all the information, right? Again, there will be some indicator of what that medicine tastes like. I can then taste it and be like, oh yeah, sweet. Again, this is what Mau Mau uses. Again, Lakan's love for her, metaphorically, so she can ensnare him. So again, from the perspective of Jinchi, once he sips this and realizes that it's medicine, it's all over. He knows there's no risk to Mao Mao, and he will beat her. However, unbeknownst to everybody, Lakan is the most lightweight in the world. Like, look at him go immediately. He's just... Not even like 10 seconds later, he's like, fuck, it's hot out. Oh, I need to lie down. Oh, get me a blue Powerade. Oh, can we get a Macca's run on the way home? He just like completely goes crazy. Like absolute, like right off drunk immediately. This guy sucks. And again, to the surprise of Jinchi, he's just actually drunk. We didn't actually just poison him and kill him. We were trying to get him unconscious so we could do things to him and bring him over to Vertigo's house. And then the episode goes in a direction where I didn't really think it would go. So we're going to go bring him to the brothel, and during his kind of blackout drunkenness here, I guess we can assume that he's going back through his own life, and we get the kind of Lakan backstory, why he is the way he is, right? And again, I guess this works better now with the context that I have. Again, like I said during the reaction, I was under the impression that the whole thing was non-consensual, right? Which made Lakan hella bad guy. I cannot feel anything for Lakan. He be a raper. And we don't like those. So, again, I wasn't inclined to be charitable to the guy. But again, now that we've gone back through here, it's easy to see that he was just kind of autistic, I think. I guess that's the case. It's all jokes here and that kind of thing. He can't distinguish faces, is the point. And that's been his, like, entire thing. He can't connect to people. Again, so much of the show is focusing on faces and faces on people and makeup and all these other things. He could never discern any of that. That was never his MO. He was always this kind of social outcast, this recluse, this kind of guy that never related emotionally but only logically. In that way, he was able to keep distance and remain cynical about things and blah, 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 blah. And then upon meeting, of course, the love of his life, that changes, and again, it's a pretty classic story from there, right? I do think there's a connection generationally between both Lakan, Fengsheng, and Mao Mao, right? Where they all have estranged relationships with their parents. Again, he couldn't tell men and women apart. He didn't even know the face of his own mother from the father. There was cheating involved. There was lots of stuff. Fengsheng, she grew up in the brothel. She never knew her own mother. She never called her mother anyway, right? That was just how she grew up. She didn't have that traditional family unit. Now again, Mao Mao's much the same, instead looking to a different figure in her life for a father, right, in Luomen. Again, Lakan is much the same here, looking towards that uncle figure as his main inspiration, I would say. This is also foreshadowing as well. So dad ran off to be with a mistress, mother desperate to get him back. Does that not mirror what Lakan does with Fengsheng here in a minute as well? At least the mother here is being kind of direct in that way, actually asking for it, and less puzzly, I would say. But again, he could never figure out Go, right? Never figuring out Go is never figuring out the other gender, never figuring out what's going on there, never really figuring out women. He couldn't read the signs. Because of this, he was unable to be with the woman he loved and needed a push in the right direction from Mao Mao, of course, right? In that way, his inability to win that game of Go, his inability to learn the true nuances there, made him out to be just as bad as his own father, which he lamented, right? There's a fair bit here for Lakan in the backstory. Okay, Lakan became the thing he hated through being unable to understand emotions. Essentially that's what we're getting at. In that way, the uncle here says to differentiate people not on their faces, but on different things about them. What they wear, their build, that way he can actually function as a human, which is cool. But again, this is the wrong tact. You should actually make an attempt to understand faces, to understand that emotion and the emotions on different people, and you'll have a more fulfilling life. Again, eventually this kind of philosophy leads the uncle to ruin. You are much the same. Yeah, my uncle was clumsy, but very intelligent. Does it remind you of anybody, Lakan? Maybe. It reminds you of yourself. That's crazy. And again, when I saw my uncle again, I started to see everybody as pieces on a board. I saw him as a chariot, a very high-value piece. So again, I'm yapping about all of this because it builds up to the moment, of course, where you finally don't see people as pieces anymore, and we'll talk about that in the absolute aftermath here. Either way, he's like an absolute fucking Reddit chess lord, so he's going around trying to beat everybody at chess, and then he runs into an adversary that he can't quite beat in a parlor game. Of course, he followed the colleagues here to the brothel. He wasn't interested in women like that, I don't think. At least not until he met this lady over here, of course. Again, very overt placement of the flowers in the frame as well, hiding that face from the audience as well. We've only seen bits and pieces of Feng Sheng's face in the past as well. Again, we get that full view here. Finally, which is cool. In a world of black and white, again, the only color I saw was that balsam, right? Feng Sheng. I really got to get that name. I keep thinking I'm going to say it wrong, but I'm not. So again, in the framing of this scene, Lakan is only ever looking down on the board. He's not really interested in the other adversary. Again, he doesn't connect to people on that level. The only color he saw, of course, was that nail polish, that one piece of beautification, of course. Again, maybe you could squint and project a little bit and say that this was almost the basis of Mau Mau's no makeup policy and all that kind of stuff, right? No beautification. Because again, that one piece of beautification, along with, again, looking up and seeing her face, right there, right? Along with all the makeup, was the thing that attracted Lakan to Feng Sheng and essentially ruined her life. Mau Mau is then projecting this into her own life, where she neglects to do any of this stuff, actively fighting against it, doing makeup to make herself look worse, right? The freckles and all that kind of shit. Like, to prevent this exact situation that happened to my biological mother happening again. Yeah, again, maybe that's projection on my part, but I can see, again, parents make the child, and these lessons that the parents are learning and taking those lessons or doing the same things again and again is so very important to Mau Mau as a character, I would say. Very, very important. Either way, she's very pretty here, which is cool. I really like the eye color as well. Again, that same kind of vibrant color as the nail polish as well. Yeah, the color matching is really good in this show. Character designs overall have been top-notch for sure. Very befitting, I would say. Even here, before it's announced, this is just Mei, which is funny. I like that. And again, I think you're enchanted on the other side. You see this fucking loser and you get horny for some reason. I don't know. Maybe there's more to it than that. They start meeting up pretty regularly over time. And again, the tragedy of all of it is that these two people that like each other can't come together for various reasons to both of their roles, right? You're stuck as a courtesan, so you get bought out or you continue to be used by the brothel. Fair enough. On the other side, you have Lakan and his family commitments, right? His commitments to the state, his commitments as a strategist, all that stuff that's pulling him apart, right? You need to now go abroad and study. Again, two lovers torn apart by the current system. Again, it's not love at first sight. We say there that there were several years that they were doing this, so again, they've probably become pretty close over that time, you would argue. As I said before, the parents make the child. Where have I seen this kind of line before? I have no mother. A woman did give birth to me, but I don't consider her my mother. That's Mau Mau. That's Mau Mau to a T. We've literally seen her say that. Something, generational trauma. You know what we're getting at there. In the pleasure district, a courtesan can never be a mother. Now again, this is interesting considering your actions later on, right? So you specifically want to get pregnant, right? You want Lakan to get you pregnant, right? To essentially lower your price to the point where Lakan can come and buy you out. Cool? Cool. Makes sense, right? Then, of course, circumstances happen, the two can't get together, and you're stuck as a mother in a brothel, right? In the pleasure district. The one thing that can't exist, according to you, a mother can't be a mother in this kind of place, right? Nobody ever did come save me from this place. There's so much here that I want to talk about that projects to earlier stuff as well, but I think the most concrete one, of course, is Fuyo. I think Fuyo and that episode very early in the show is very important to this, right? Fuyo put together an elaborate plan to get her out of whatever was happening currently, right? She essentially lowered her own value to the point where she could escape and be with the one she loved. The tragedy here for Feng Sheng is she tried a similar gambit, but it didn't work. The love of her life never came. And that's why Mau Mau is so... That's what's so bittersweet about that episode for Mau Mau. How cool is that? How early in the show is that? And that is so significant to the theming of the show. Is an essential episode, I would argue. Yeah, what the fuck? This shit's cool. This show's amazing. What the fuck? Again, I'm seeing it all connect in my head, and it's just so very impressive. That's why I like reading the comments about this show as well. You guys really get into the nitty-gritty and really, like, describe what's good about the show in a really fun way. And again, I hope the Discord does the same as well. I would love to know more and more. I'd love to know more and more about how good this is. Either way, as time passes, Feng Sheng continues to... her status grows and grows in Vertigra's house and all that kind of stuff, right? She gets more and more expensive as time goes on, to the point where she's like almost the main draw of Vertigra's house, right? You could also... she has an icy demeanor. You could argue that this icy demeanor is only a defense mechanism to stop other men from coming back and seeing her, but little did she know that men actually like that shit, which is scary. So again, she just gets a few really obsessive guys that don't care about... they want to get stepped on, essentially. That kind of vibe. Currently in our little story, Lakan is needing to spend... he can only, come every 3 months. So that gives you an indicator of how expensive she is and how often that these two lovers can actually meet up. We specifically shout out the metaphor here as well. Here is the balsam flower, and down here, of course, is wood sorrel, which is Mau Mau in the metaphor, if you didn't know. Again, also known as cat's foot, Mau Mau, the whole ears, you know what's going on there, of course. Specifically, this is a medicine that helps treat poisons and insect bites. Wow. Almost like an apothecary or something. Very cool. Like the balsam, touching a ripe fruit causes the seeds to burst. Now again, with that, you could get dirty in your head and talk about conception, but I'm a little bit more like, okay, Mau Mau, you touch her and she kind of explodes, right? She's keeping it all bottled in and she'll explode out if you give her the right stimuli, I would say. Now again, this specific question here, of course, when can you come again? In 3 months' time, just like normal. That's when we suggest our little thing for the game, I would say, our little set of rules again. So Feng Sheng's going to be bought out soon. That means that this is likely then last night together. It's now or never if you want to do what you want to do in life, right? And now this emphasizes the tragedy, right? There's still time for somebody like Mei Mei, again from that previous episode. I've still got time. I can be with the one I love, that kind of thing, right? You're running out of time. This is literally your last chance and it's do or die. I wonder if Mei Mei, ever forced into a similar position, would make similar decisions here. Again, this is where we place that bet, where we put some extra conditions on the game we play. Again, much like Mau Mau very early in the episode, putting these conditions on the game, right? Now, these conditions are very specific. If you win, I will give you anything you want, right? If I win, I will take anything I want. Now, again, the understanding here is that they both want the same thing, right? So either one that wins the game, they're going to get what they want. Which, hey, you're being smooth, but you two want to be together, which is cute. Mei Mei, I want to concentrate on this game, so get out of here. I'm about to bone. Also, I was thinking about Pyron with this scene as well. Pyron and Lihaku, of course. Lihaku wanting to work up the money to buy her out and them to be in love and that kind of thing. It's very similar to this old story, I would say. And again, Lihaku and his ability to face it like a man and all that kind of stuff and not run away. And again, it's the exact opposite of Lakan here, I would argue, right? I would say that Lihaku has a good chance of getting what he wants here because he's going about it the right way. Yeah, ultimately, again, Lakan's inability to read people is what limits him from getting his happy ending. And there it is, doors closed, the touch of the hand, the even more touch of the hand. Ooh, very classy show. Very cool. There wasn't any sweet words from Feng Sheng. Again, much like myself, we're not much for overly communicating with each other. It's just the story of two, ultra tsunderes together. Or, no social skill Andes. That kind of thing. Very significant here is the I want to go play Go. And I'd been thinking about how I wanted to play chess myself. Again, the metaphor here, chess is your strategic stuff, the side that you're really good at, but Go. The emotional side, the genders, that kind of thing. You're not really all up on that, and you don't read people as well. That's why you're bad at that game. Again, this is your folly. Again, this metaphorically is why you fail to have your happy ending, at least now. As I mentioned before, the singing of this song here, again, you knowing what you've done, essentially, is pretty telling, I would say. Again, even though there's lyrics there in the song, fly to somewhere far away. Let's get out of here. This is even a little signal to you to get your shit together and get out here and buy me now that I've lowered my value sufficiently. And then the tragedy starts. The uncle, the one that I held in high esteem, my role model basically, he got ousted. He brought shame to the family. For all of his intelligence, he was really clumsy. Potentially he made an emotional read that was incorrect on another person and suffered because of it. And again, my association to this man and my association with his lifestyle ultimately led to me being sent away to study, to be away from him and learn something else. And again, unable to stand up to his family here, unable to say what he really wants, just going along with the flow. Remind you of anybody? Maybe a Mau Mau. Again, inability to speak up here and speak my mind and what I actually want. Around that same time, Fengsheng wrote me that her buyout agreement fell through. I assumed I would be back in 6 months or so. So, whatever, it's fine, I can just talk to her later. But back then, I had no idea what had eventuated. She was pregnant, and she was trying to tell me as such, but she, again, didn't just say what she meant. She just assumed that he would pick up on the signs. Which again, don't you know the guy? He's very bad at that. Either way, 3 years later, he returns from studying abroad to about 1 trillion letters from Fengsheng. And specifically here, the most important letter, the fingers, and then the blood there on the note as well. And then again, this is when he puts everything together, especially the finger along with the smaller finger. He's like, oh, I know what I've done. Oh, I fucked up bad. Oh shit. Now that's why the finger's that color too. It's like literally rotted and wilted away during the time as well, which is, again, metaphorically, you apply that to Fengsheng as well, and what's happening to her. That's pretty bad. I don't like that. The finger, it's a popular way to curse someone, of course. That's the whole conceit behind the Jujutsu Kaisen joke that I made. That's the whole conceit in that show, is curses. And again, him like running back through, like here, reminds me of these scenes where Mau Mau figures something out and is running through the outer court or the rear palace or something like that as well. Why didn't I notice? I can't believe I didn't notice. All that kind of stuff, right? Except in Mau Mau's case, especially in episode 19, she was just in time to actually save the day. But again, he's lamenting the fact that he couldn't reach that simple conclusion, and when he gets over to Vertigra's house, they beat his ass. Where have you been all this time? You fucked up. We're supporting our girl. You're deadbeat ass motherfucker. I'm gonna beat you with a broom. Again, maybe it's even less supporting our girl and it's more the reputation of the brothel. The brothel almost died from this happening, right? She's obviously one of the best courtesans. She brings in the most money. Obviously, from a business perspective, we're planning that money to continue to roll in. And again, you ruined that. So again, you've ruined the establishment as well as another woman's life. Yeah, that's what makes this frame here really tragic, I think. Ultimately, she was shed of all that kind of stuff she used to have. She was kind of sent out to the streets, so to say. And yeah, just the coldness of this frame, the longing in it, the like, it feels like hope's gone. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's really good in that regard. Maybe it's the foggy day outside, maybe it's that kind of dusk area of day, maybe it's this kind of dull tree out. The flowers aren't vibrant. They've kind of wilted away a little bit. Feels like late autumn, you know. These leaves are gonna fall, and yeah, when we're not gonna see them again for a while. That kind of vibe. And yeah, he fucked up. No matter how much I cried now, there's no way to turn back time. I've already ruined everything. And Lakan blames himself for everything here. Again, that's probably why he still remains a social recluse even to today, right? The one time that I tried to get intimately involved at all, it ended up with me fucking everything up. I'm not going to get involved in anybody's life because I'm going to fuck it up. Again, him wanting to be a good father to Mau Mau and wanting to support her and that kind of thing is his way of making up to this. It's his way of making good. But she doesn't want that. Either way, he wakes up in Vertigra's house after his drunken dream, I would say, and Mei Mei is here. I used to play with Mei Mei quite a bit. She used to be Fengsheng's little assistant. Obviously, when you show up and Fengsheng's busy because she's very important, you go off and play with Mei Mei. I complimented her talents. She seemed to like it. Abashed, embarrassed, bashful, sure. Just as a final spiting from Mau Mau here, of course, Mau Mau made him a little drink, a little bitter drink. Again, she doesn't hate him, but she still does dislike him. And again, you're a weirdo, so you like it when you find out it was from Mau Mau. Mau Mau also left you this gift here, the blue rose, right? So again, this blue rose now has a lot of meaning. So the blue rose was something that Lakan came up with, which was impossible. It was something unattainable, right? It was everything he's ever dreamed of, but something he couldn't have. He only wished to see it but one more time. There's a specific line back here. I don't know if you're red or blue. If we remember also the first time we saw Fengsheng, she was kind of adorned in all these roses, right? You saw them there. Very specific frame. Yeah, right there. Red roses, right? Associating her with a rose as well. Now, again, in the color analysis as well, from this over here, where was it? Where she was kind of shedding her robes. Yeah, she goes from that kind of red color to the bluish color here as well. Essentially, Fengsheng has changed from red to blue. She used to be the red rose, now she's that blue rose. Unattainable, impossible to find, something which I can't have. Mau Mau realizes this metaphorically and makes a preserved rose, a preserved blue rose. She's just the same as she ever was. She's still a rose. She may have withered a little bit, but she is still eternal. She's still the same woman, you know what I mean? And that's what that means metaphorically. And again, I think Lakan gets it. I think he finally understands what all of it means here at the very end. Yeah, the color stuff's really, really interesting here between the reds and the blues. I really like that. Again, it works as a perfect representation of her own biological mother, and gets to something metaphorically that Lakan can then realize, right? It's the perfect thing for Mao Mao to give him as a clue. It also helps him to finally make an actual emotional read on the situation, which again was his folly, and eventually leads him to this faux happily ever after, I would say. Even here, she carries a preserved blue rose bud, keeping it internal. Again, we'll see this flower finally bloom upon that dancing scene at the end of episode 24. Yeah, so I missed this line. This is crucially important. Feng Sheng, I wanted to be with the daughter she left behind. Left behind. Again, I think, again, you just assume that she's dead, I guess. Sure. Again, if the metaphor wasn't obvious enough for you, have Mao Mao with the little yellow flower here as well, kind of showing off the time when Mao Mao was very young, at Vertiger's house. Again, is Luhrmann here as well, maybe? Is this who this is, maybe? And again, I want to be with the daughter, my, biological daughter, and then, of course she would be scared of him. Think about Lakan, current day Lakan trying to reach out and, grab. That's, creepy. I don't want that. And again, I think to Gao Shun's line here in a second as well, no father wants the daughter to hate him, right? Not on any level. He was never really antagonistic towards me. He never really wanted to even cause me harm. And again, this is the other indicator. Hey, I don't like Jinshi, basically. He put his hand on my daughter's shoulder 3 times. He even counted them. Yeah, again, this gives you the indicator of why Lakan has been the way he has been around Jinshi. Either way, we have the Vertiger's house old lady here coming in. I heard you wanted to buy a courtesan. I'll have them all lined up for you. I'll let you have your pick. Obviously, you'll pay the price, that kind of thing. And of course, the old lady likes this gambit. Mao Mao's probably described it to her, what he's trying to do, or what she's trying to do, excuse me. And she's like, oh fuck, I can wring this guy dry. He's going to pay anything for the love of his life. Again, we look down here. I wonder which one he's going to pick from this lineup. Yeah, it's a real fucking head scratcher. Of course, here we must consider the whole gore piece little metaphor that's still going on. Again, it'll be shattered soon. You'll see what I mean. Again, no matter how beautifully these women dress for me, they're still stones. Even Mei Mei, again, one of the 3 princesses, one of the most valuable assets in the Pleasure District, she still looks like nothing to me. Besides that, I can still request Mei Mei. He walks over to Mei Mei, of course. Mei Mei kind of tenses her hands a little bit, kind of grips. She knows what's about to happen. She knows what her part to play here is now. And Lakan-sama, I will accept you if this is what you truly want, but isn't there somebody else? And again, finally opening that door over to the annex, finally letting him in over this side. And yeah, I can barely hear it. I don't know why they're subbing it. I can barely hear that little song that she sings to herself. But this is the indicator to Lakan that she's over in the annex, that she's over separated, right? And that she's actually alive. Feng Sheng is still alive. The love of my life, I'm gonna go over and see her. Oh no, the old lady isn't in on it, because she's like, Mei Mei, I didn't tell you to open that door over there. Yeah, so you're not in on it? That's crazy. Either way, she makes money, so she doesn't care. There's something really awesome about the character framing here where I can kind of tell what emotionally is going on, even though the characters don't have the faces, right? So like Lakan running past there, right? That's all well and good, but this like a little look at Mei Mei, this like look down, she knows what's about to happen. She knows what she's just done. Again, she was Feng Sheng's little assistant. She's as close to her as anybody, right? She knew the actual relationship here, the actual story, and she knows what this finally is signifying. Again, she is taking a risk here too, right? But again, it's ultimately fine, I think. I just like how you can tell based on just that tilt of the head of the piece there and that kind of neck looking down. Again, that was the message of the flower. The beauty is never withered, that kind of thing, right? And again, that's what Mao Mao gave me. That was the indicator. Could it be? Could she even be there? And now we see it, of course. He rushes into the annex. He finally sees her, and we see that kind of moon rising almost, right? Now again, we explicitly tie the moon here to menstrual cycles, right? That's what we're doing through the whole pregnancy idea and that kind of thing. Mao Mao explains it a lot better later in the episode, but again, this kind of link between the moon and femininity, which I think we've seen explored with Arduo, I believe, in the past as well. lot of moon in this show, and again, it's very significant. It's also that Fuyo connection, also when Mao Mao is dancing outside here in a moment as well. The moon is all very important to that kind of feminine aspect to all of this. And again, Lakan here is just dumbfounded. He can't believe that she's still even here, still even alive. And yeah, Lakan has to choose a courtesan, and he ends up picking this one right here, of course, if VLC wants to behave. And again, this is what gets the old lady interested. I'll pay whatever you ask, 100,000, 200,000, whatever, I don't care. And then yeah, he keeps pieces in his pocket, which is weird. He gets out 2 of the go pieces, places them in her hand, holds that hand finally, that hand as well that has lost that finger. And this is what breaks her out of the stupor, right? This is what cures her madness almost. She's gone insane waiting for this guy. Again, this is almost where you could argue that it's a little bit unrealistic that she's been kind of insane this entire time and this is what fixes it. But sure, hey, I'm a hopeless romantic too. I kind of like this. And again, right back to normal. The same way she always looked. A flower's beauty never withers, or whatever the fucking line was. I know I fucked it up. But anyway, hey, it's all coming together, eh? It's all very good. And again, let's go play Go. It's all very sweet. Look at this. Again, I still don't feel good for Lakan because it's Lakan. But hey, I'm happy that Feng Sheng's good. That's good. Of course, we see the 2 of them finally playing again after all these years. Makes Mao Mao, Mei Mei break down in tears. Or Nae-san, you should have been honest from the start. Well, yeah, and also Lakan should learn to read people a little bit more. He should have been a little bit more emotionally intelligent. Again, there was reasons for these 2 not being together. They were both societal and personal. And again, I understand why they couldn't be together. But again, you must see the irony here and the tragedy. Why so late? Again, we can imagine that Feng Sheng doesn't have long left to live based on, again, the disease and all that kind of thing, right? So again, you could have had your happy ending, something that Mei Mei is really personally invested in, getting a happy ending. You could have had that. You could have been away from here if only you had been more honest. I really love this reaction out of Mei Mei. And again, very indicative for her personal character as well, and her story going forward, I would argue. There we go, there's that balsam flower. I'll buy out this courtesan, as beautiful as this flower, that moon in the background. Finally, our happy ending for Lakan. What we always wanted, everybody. And then we're kind of over to Mao Mao and stuff. We kind of, again, continue to set up Lao Lan and Shishaw. Again, look at these 2. Again, my early prediction was that this guy was going to be forcing Lao Lan to do this for a power grab, but that doesn't seem to be the case. You 2 seem on pretty good terms. Maybe only in public. We'll still see. I don't know. Again, what's relevant here, of course, is the relationship between a father and a daughter. Something that, of course, we relate to this episode with Lakan and Mao Mao, right? Look at these 2 seeing eye to eye and working together. What if me and Lakan could do a similar thing one day? I don't know. Either way, Mao Mao's put together this elaborate plan and has been working all day. She's clearly very tired, but Jinchi still wants to speak and get some extra info about what any of that even was. Again, I think this is all still off the back of the whole rose shebang as well. Like her working so hard to make the roses and make the roses bloom. Again, that's why she's getting the food now. She's so thin and that kind of thing, she works so hard. And this is where Mao Mao's finally honest. Jinchi asks, I thought you hated Lakan, right? Well, it's not that I hate him. After all, I'm here because he was able to land that shot, which is a crazy thing to say about your own dad, but sure. And Mao Mao's like, that's just facts. Also, my mum wouldn't have gotten pregnant if she didn't want to, right? There are ways to get rid of babies, right? Therefore, she must have given birth because she wanted to. Again, this is probably something you've kind of racked yourself with, right? And that kind of trauma with the knife and the finger and all that kind of shit. Mao Mao describes here that in that way, Lakan was part of Feng Sheng's plan to get out of the pleasure district, essentially, get out of her contract, right? Again, much like Fuyo, as I've described. Essentially, that's what the letters were about. She was tracking her own menstrual cycle, that kind of thing. She wanted to get pregnant, right? She was, again, ovulating. I don't want to be too specific about it, obviously. But you know what I mean. She wanted to get pregnant as a means to have the life she wanted and get out of Verdigris' house. In that way, he was being used, right? Lakan was being used. She must have lost her mind when she bet everything and her plan didn't work out. Blah, 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 blah. Syphilis, you know where we go from there. Lost so much that she was even willing to hurt herself, as well as hurt me. That little baby's finger, of course. Mao Mao here also describes Lakan's condition. He's unable to recognize people's faces and put shit together like that. Therefore, we call him an unfortunate fellow. Jinchi and Mao Mao both agree that that would be a terrible thing to happen if you can't recognize people's faces, right? Again, that's what justifies why Lakan always talks to Jinchi in his office. He wouldn't recognize that it's Jinchi, right? Without it literally being this one place that he is always in, right? And again, Luhrmann gives the extra scoop here, right? He's an unfortunate fellow. It has troubled him throughout his life. Again, here, it's less literally that he can't recognize the person in front of him, but it's more he can't see emotions. He's emotionally unintelligent, right? And emotionally unavailable. In that way, isn't Mao Mao kind of very similar? A lot of the time, I would say. Emotionally unavailable, distant, kind of separates herself from things, doesn't get too involved. You're just mini Lakan in a lot of ways. And again, Lakan's folly, that was Lakan's... You need to stop doing what Lakan was doing, otherwise you will have no happy ending with anybody. You need to follow your gut and make some actual predictions and go out there and be someone in the world and make connections and all that stuff. That's what's going to stop you from having your bad ending. Mao Mao wonders if Lakan ever got the true message behind the withered rose. But either way, Mao Mao's okay with it. I'm fine if he didn't understand it. I don't really care. I do dislike him, but I don't hate him. But you look so disgusted when I mentioned him. It's like, well, that came with a bunch of other stuff as well. It was weird at the time. You must also remember the ceremony. He actually helped me in trying to save you, which was fun. Again, what we describe here is that Lakan has really good intuition, right? So he doesn't collect evidence and make predictions like I do. He just goes off hunches, right? So what he sensed, he was just kind of nearby, and he sensed that Mao Mao had discovered something. And he's like, oh shit, she really needs to get in here. She wouldn't be doing this if she, didn't have a good reason to be doing this. That's why Lakan helped her during that time. Again, his gut feeling with the PiP, maybe you could link it to that as well. His gut feeling about a lot of these things. He just figures things out without thinking them all the way through, right? He knows everything. If you know, you know. Mao Mao laments the fact that he knows everything, but he doesn't take action. He's literally you. If that guy took action, then maybe I would have my resurrection drug that I finally want. Again, Sure representing that drug, I would finally be like Sure. In that way, I'm kind of jealous of him that he can figure these things out, but he doesn't follow through on them. Again, pot, meat, kettle. Again, from here, it seems like we'll have some sort of uneasy alliance with Lakan, and Gaoshan reminds us that no father wants to be disliked. So he has your best interests in mind, right? Especially now that you've done something nice for him, essentially, and your own biological mother by proxy. A few days after returning to the Jade Pavilion, to the Reared Palace, right, I got a letter from Mei Mei. Inside, it was describing what happened, essentially, right, who bought who, and a beautiful shawl. I want you to wear this and dance for me when I finally get bought out too. Now, this is great, right, because Mei Mei always wanted Feng Sheng to have her happy ending as well, wanted to dance for her when she got bought out and all that other stuff, right? She never got the chance to be able to in the way that she wanted to, right? Hey, Mao Mao, I'm this close to you. When the similar thing happens to me, I want you to be there, right? I want the people around me to be there. The people that are important to me. So a couple of more random thoughts about this. I really like this scene here in retrospect. This kind of reflection in the bath with Mao Mao about, again, what I'm going to do next, my future, all that kind of stuff. I really think it's filled with meaning now upon knowing a little bit more additional context. Even specifically this scene, you kind of looking up at Lakan and thinking about a happily ever after. You kind of thinking about the feelings of Mao Mao's biological mother there and what she would have thought about Lakan. And maybe projecting that outwards a little bit. This face here is also really good in that regard. But my other thought really was, why is Mao Mao called Mao Mao? Right? Doesn't it sound very similar to Mei Mei? I'm thinking is almost a tribute to one of her best friends, one of the people that's closest to her, her little sister. Mao Mao's biological mother named Mao Mao a very similar name to Mei Mei. Again, that's my fan theory. I really like it. I think it's cute. It's a fun little double M name kind of thing. Yeah, it's just cool. I like that. From here, we get the idea to dance. She does a little twirl there and then starts to put on the makeup, right? To be honest, I wanted to send off Mei Mei. Because again, you don't have a high opinion of your own biological mother, of course. That courtesan kinder than anyone else. And then we see the clothes over here, obviously. That kind of vibrant red to it all as well, shedding the green layer and showing that color. She's also wiped off her freckles as well. She's put on full makeup. And yeah, night finally falls, and this is where the show gets really smart. So obviously, in doing this, Mao Mao has become a little bit more honest, taken some action, made some good happen for the people around her, all these things that we want her to do, and what are we signifying that by metaphorically, right? Right here, she sheds her plain clothes, she sheds her normal uniform, and she has that dress on. Very similar to the first opening, of course. This red that's largely associated with her own biological mother as well, the shawl that that Mei Mei gave her. Oh, in that way, she also does have freckles. Yeah, she still kept the freckles, never mind. But she has put on a little bit of lipstick, a little bit of makeup otherwise. Lets the hair down. That was another big thing as well. What is Sure? Sure's got that hair down a little bit and got the flower up the top just a little bit, right? She takes that kind of binding off of her hair, releases it all, lets it all flow. She puts a flower in her hair, a blue rose to be specific as well, and we get an elaborate insert song sequence where she finally dances. So again, I've been through it. This connects to Fuyo. This also connects to Arduo being on this wall as well. This connects to her finally blooming. This connects to her origins at Verdigris' house. This connects to all the makeup set up early in the show. It is brilliant. This is one of the highlight scenes of the show yet again. It's very, very good. And even that one flash there of the bandage, she's still vulnerable under it all, but she's able to put on this kind of guise and finally dance in the moonlight. Now again, I'm not the animation dork, but even I know that this looks amazingly good, right? It just does. So shoutouts to that. You guys did a good job. Lyrics for the insert song would have also been appreciated, but then's the breaks, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how they animated this. It's probably not rotoscoped, but some of the fabric stuff is really, really, really good here. Like just, yeah, look at it flow there, man. How good's that? Again, was that hand-drawn? Did they have assistance? I don't really know. Yeah, this shot here makes it look a little bit more 3D, so maybe, potentially, I don't know. Spinning to the point where, again, the whole skirt is making that kind of formation, even making herself look like a flower in that process as well, a flower that has bloomed in the stars, in the moonlight, all that kind of stuff. How brilliant. Love it. Yeah, what an effective scene. How brilliant. Very, very, very good. Again, I'm still surprised I remembered all of that. And then Jinchi fucking appears. Again, you remember that because it's something you learned very early on at Verdigris' house. I like Jinchi's face here when we cut back to him, if I can find it. Yeah, he's just kind of mesmerized here for a second before, oh shit, she saw me. So he let it happen. He liked watching that, which is cute. And again, from here, we ratchet up the drama. She kind of slips or whatever. It's whatever. Jinchi, why are you here? I got another report of somebody dancing on the wall. I thought I would go have a look, considering what happened last time. We get the context here from Mao Mao. This is literally the dance we do when a courtesan is being brought out from the bought out from the pleasure district, excuse me. I'm surprised you know how to dance. Well, I was brought up in the pleasure district. You know, I was part of this whole process at a certain point. There's been rumors as well that the weirdo strategist has bought out a courtesan. He's going to take a vacation for at least 10 days. And again, what a troublesome man. I've heard from my my big sis, Mei Mei, as well. She's told me that they're very happy with what he paid. So shoutouts to Verdigris' house for making some bank off that fool as well. Again, you're still denying to tell Jinchi the full story here. Who did he buy out anyway? Well, I'm not telling you. Again, maybe you're closing back down that flower again, not willing to be fully, again, honest with everybody all the time. That woman that he bought won't last long. Essentially, she's not got long left to live, essentially. Nobody told me about the woman who birthed me during my days at the brothel. I learnt through scuttlebutt and hearsay. I learnt lots of things. She's the reason that Verdigris' house almost went out of business once. My relationship with the woman who always chased me off, ashamed for losing her pride. And that nightmare really did happen. The one about cutting the finger, of course. That woman has no memories of being a mother. All she has now is a crooked little finger. And again, this prompts Mao Mao to tell Jinchi that, hey, it turns out your finger grows back, kinda. Again, I'm just imagining it's kind of skew-if on her, something like that. Either way, none of that matters. I'm happy to be Luomin's daughter, of course. I'm happy that Mao Mao's made some kind of peace with everything that's gone on. And again, maybe that's the grand metaphor there. Even though the trauma was done to the finger, it still grew it back a little bit. It's never truly over, you know? There's always some road to redemption there. Either way, continuing the metaphor, in the process of dancing, I kind of lost myself and ended up re-injuring myself. Maybe again, that whole Icarus thing. I'm flying close to the sun. I don't want to fly too close. It could still end in my death, of course. But again, no matter what happens, right, there will still be people around there to carry me. Even if I do hurt myself. If I continue to make emotional connections with the people around me and keep a close circle and make friends and make allies and that kind of thing, right? It doesn't matter if I get too close and hurt myself. I'll have somebody backing me up to pick me up and nurse me back to health again. And that's just sweet. And again, this is mirroring, of course, episode 19 and the whole reveals there and what Jinchi did, walking out with her in his arms and that kind of thing, right? Also, he's Batman. I don't know how he lands here so casually. Anyway, this is the second time I'm carrying you like this. Then Mao Mao finally gets wind of the first time. And then, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to play all of this. Fucking Mao Mao just elaborately trolls Jinchi. I have something very important to say to you, Jinchi. And then it just ends with, like, give me the stupid piece of, like, apothecary garbage, right? The ox bezoar. No, you're just trolling him. You know he likes you, and you're fucking using that. That's kind of funny. And then, yeah, the nya there at the very end. Absolute cinema. It's crazy. Good joke, though. Then the headbutt's kind of crazy. Channeling fucking Zidane. Anyway, get me out of here. I like him when he's being immature, all that kind of BS. The credits on screen there. The stars is an interesting one. Stars opposed to the moon. Maybe the children of the moon, so to say. A million stars, endless possibilities, all that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, again, I'm super running out of time. Essentially, we're like, hey, season 2 exists. So... hooray, season 2 exists. I'm very excited. Again, I've talked about some general stuff about where I think this show may go, but yeah, I don't really know. Obviously still remaining in the outer court Rear Palace type area. Lakan's obviously no longer a real threat. It's now moving on to Sudre as that kind of arch nemesis type character, the kind of anti-Mau Mau, so to say. But yeah, hooray, I'm happy that there is a season 2. 2025 broadly is when I think this thing's coming out. So again, shoutouts to that. I really have to go. Which is unfortunate. But this was amazing. This was incredible. This was really, 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 really good. I would recommend this show to basically anybody. I think it succeeds on basically every level. There's a few production stuff which is kind of but mostly the show's really good. It tells a fantastic story, one of the best stories I've seen adapted for anime, at least recently, I would say. And it doesn't kind of slump on the character part of that either. Layers and layers metaphorically. The mysteries were always so very fun. Very watchable, supremely watchable show. Great voice performances all across this thing. Really shout-outs to Aoi Yuki as Mau Mau. She carries this show, I would say. It does a fantastic job doing it. Shows that full breadth of emotion. I loved it. I want to see more. So shout-outs to that. Yeah, I will return in 2 weeks' time for whatever replaces this. Keep an eye on the channel. There will be a poll announcement video sometime soon. I don't really know. But yeah, cool, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, keep an eye out, especially if you wanted to watch a similar show to this in this kind of format with me. Again, I do this. Please vote in polls, that kind of thing. Anyway, glad to have you along for the ride. We'll definitely return to season 2 and that kind of thing. So again, looking forward to it greatly. I'll catch you later. I gotta go, but I'll see you. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Ciao. See ya.